Good afternoon, everyone. You want to get started? Welcome to the Central Finder and meeting of August. Developing advice for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by, we have a little flag, right? Yeah, Pledge of Allegiance. And to the Republic, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome everyone to today's Central Finance Commission meeting. We'll start with our public comment. Is there anybody in the public who would like to address us at this time? Sure. Go ahead, sir, you stand up, state your name and
My name is Joseph Castle. I reside in Quad, and I'm here on behalf of my interest, like 6 acres that I own in West Hampton, which is next door to a property that's going to be under your consideration very soon for a recycling, the sand, bringing material into a sand pit for recycling. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this yet. I know that Julie is, and Judy is. The board members been apprised of this yet?
well, this is an opportunity for you to tell us who you are.
Okay, I brought a little map. I want to show you where my property is. May I approach?
If you're getting truly still make sure that we don't get caught.
Oh, in the town where I live in Southampton, there is a sand pit that's been abandoned. It's been abandoned for over 15 years. It is 47 acres. It is 40 feet deep. The giant cavity in the earth. And it's in the middle of the core area of the Pine Barrens, goes under your jurisdiction. This pit has been inactive. It's been closed up by the DEC for over 10 years. But in the last year and a half, it was purchased. And it was purchased by gentlemen who are interested in using it for construction and demolition debris deposit. And they are planning on filling in this pit with debris, dirt, materials, whatever, and breaking it down and maybe segregating some of it for resale or use somewhere else. But they don't have their permits yet. And I don't think they've even made an application to this commission. And what I've noticed, because I own the land next door, is that development has occurred on this property in the last year and a half. Development as defined by ECL, if you're all aware of. Development in the sense that they've constructed approximately a 5,000 square foot building. They have connected the building to sanitary facilities underground and underground electric. They've also graded off and regraded the property to allow for storage of their equipment. And in doing so, they raised the elevation of a portion of their property, causing water, when it rains, to erode off and go into core lands that are owned by Suffolk County, Kaufman Parks. And I think these are very important issues, and that's why I brought them to the attention of Julie and Judy. And I'm hoping that the board will see this through an application process, but I'm afraid that it might be jumping over your board with the DEC, who's the lead agency on this, in that the DEC seems to be promoting this use of this property. And I find that hard to believe by dealing with the DEC, but it appears that there's some benefit to DEC in having this sand pit used for construction and demolition debris. I was hoping that the board might instruct your enforcement division, go out there and to examine the fact that a building has been built in the last year and a half on the property in the core with no permits. That clearing and regrading has occurred with no permits, which are both in violation of the ECL. And I think it warrants review by your enforcement department. My interest is because I own the land next door, and it's going to adversely affect my property. So thank you for the opportunity to address the board on that issue up here. If you have any questions,
Thank you. Somebody have any questions?
I've got a quick question. Can you identify the owner of this?
yes.
Isn't it a two-problem, right? But whatever you construct in the town, you have to get town clearance, right? You need the permits for town, you're not exempt. And then I think possibly become enforcement on our end. Can we send enforcement or?
So Judy, you wanna,
We've been made aware of the structures that have been, that are on the property, we have people from out. To look and also put in communication. South as well, so decision.
so we, and the property owner here is.
The owner of the property is 4 on Old Country Road LLC. It's a limited liability company.
Or Old Country Road?
4 Old Country Road,
4.
number 4.
Okay.
May I show you?
No, 4 Old Country Road, it sounds like he's saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just one of the left hand. Fine, fine. So I believe,
Okay.
we appreciate you coming in and making us aware. I think as much as we been made aware and our law enforcement division is looking into it as notified.
Thank you. Is there any chance the DEC is going to approve this without your board?
I can't speak for what DEC may or may not be, something like that.
Is there a representative from DEC here today?
I am, the assistant legal director, but I can't speak to what the agency is going to do while the program staff or whatever.
So it is possible then that the DEC could approve this sand pit conversion without Pine Barrens approval.
Well, there would be a referral to Pine Barrens, I believe is the way it would work, to Secra, and there would be other things, and yes, anything that requires Pine Barrens approval. It's no go to that.
Chairman, we did receive a referral by May, which during their comments for the said concerning this project, that the commission approved to be said. And it had addressed, it had included comments as well. Starting at that time, so we've been aware, and the commission's aware.
What was the commission has some input on this before DEC grants this permit? Thank you for the time, Sam.
Thank you.
Good. Anybody else in the public? Okay, seeing none, before we move into the next step of the agenda, I do have one item that's not on the agenda, which is today is our last meeting for our. So we wanted to present her with a certificate of appreciation. Perhaps Supervisor, if you want to go over with me, and we can present her with a proclamation. We just thank her for all of her years of dedication and serving and helping to educate people, both young and old, about the beautiful Pine Barrens and all the things that we do there.
Oh, very nice. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Oh, very nice. Thank you. And I will just say, it's been a wonderful 16 years, and it's like the goodbye that doesn't end. I think you've said goodbye several times, but this is really it, I promise. The legacy that I was able to leave for the youth and really all constituents of the Pine Barrens, to be honest, it's been an honor. And I am leaving it in wonderful hands. Mr. Tim Moats over there will be taking over for me, and he's been following me for the last 6 to 7 weeks, so I've been confident in doing a fabulous job. But thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Back to the regular scheduled program. So, the next item on the agenda is our minutes from, July 19th. Everybody should have received them. Any questions or, anything more? Motion from, Mr. Dell to accept the minutes as presented. Okay. Second by Supervisor Agnew. Any issue? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Minutes are approved. Like final core preservation area, CBD North America. I'm sorry, 2A. Planning and land use, please. Credit program auction results and next steps.
That's done, everyone. As recommended by the commission, we conducted the auction to purchase Barrens credits. On August 4th, the deadline was for the forms for the commission to receive with the offers. And as a result, we received 9 offers for the total amount of 3.95 credits. Half of them were from the letter of certification holders, so they would need to go through the process and getting credits first, and then we can sign the contract. The last auction, the similar auction that we did was in 2011. And at that time, the clearinghouse purchased 10.18 credits. And the offering price, I think, was ranged from was paid by the clearinghouse with the same price that was offered to us. It goes from the bottom up to the level where we reached 1 million. At that time, the difference was that we didn't have the limit on the credits that can be submitted by the sellers. And this time we had the limit of 1 credit per seller. And that's why we had less credit in total, 3.95. So we are asking the commission today to approve the purchase of the credits. The things that we need to clarify what would be the offering price for the sellers. I think that at the last auction, the offering price coincided with the average price that was at that time in town of Brookhaven. And at the last auction, when the commission sold credits, it was also at 95,000 per credits, which was the current average in town of Brookhaven. So as of now, if we calculate based on only this year, the average price in town of Brookhaven is 109,000. And if we calculate it based on the calendar year, it would be 106,000, which coincides with the average price that we receive from all the offers. So credits. Have any questions?
Chairman, as vice chair, the credit clearinghouse, and chair of credit clearinghouse, sure, just in case you have any comments or questions. Say.
Well, the average price is over the last 12 months. 107,000.
Yes, I'm right.
And how many transactions?
You probably 5-6 transactions.
So my view is that's supposed to be the price. Let's see that. My only other comment is commission receiving offers to sell at 3.95 credits for far short of gold. That's great. Gary, I made a mistake, I thought the last time we did this, we didn't post it. Not before that, we didn't, but the last time we did, the reason that we closed the limit there is there are people out there who have accumulated large credits. For the purpose, to some degree, of making an offer to buy, it's not to service those people who have their own economic ambition. It's to try and bring more people who have not participated in the program all into the program. And that clearly is a challenge because there are very, over the south, there is something like 200 property owners, all of them obviously small, who have not sought under the association. And if we're going to accomplish the purposes of this program and provide long-term legal protection for all these properties for the conservation, we need those people to request letters of interpretation and get their credits if they're entitled to participate in the program. So I think the real question, both for the clearinghouse and commission, is how do you design a program that will make it attractive for people? Many of them have probably never seen these properties, so to participate in the program. So I guess that's a request I would make to the commission, that you ask the clearinghouse, the staff, and anyone else to see if, what more we can do to put together a program reaching out to those people. At least in Brookhaven, so that we can achieve what I think is the goal of the town of Brookhaven. But the bottom line is the $106,000 price.
We drafted the resolution, it was included in the package. The contract for sale.
We just amend the second whereas from the bottom of the first page, and the final resolve. The second page, leave it as 106 there.
Price with 106.
Right, there were two prices, the most one,
Right.
This one made it.
Okay,
The motion on it?
the motion. Now, move the resolution as drafted, which is already set at 106,797.
I just suggest in the third resolve from the end. So commission offers to purchase the credits on the terms and conditions in the attached agreements. It just says terms and conditions attached agreements are otherwise approved by a commission staff. So if someone had some could be a little issue with contract, we don't.
That motion to accept the offer of the resolution as Assembly Council. Okay. Have a second? Aye. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, for binder preservation critical resource area, now we are going down to item B, North America for preservation area hardship. Barrens.
Thank you. This item is on to schedule public hearing. The commission received for reservation area hardship for solar installation on a sand mine in West Hampton. This is a different sand mine. This is what Mr. Dazzle was referring to. This is the site of a former or the current sand mine by West Hampton Property Associates that was granted a for hardship in 2012 to expand deeper in that mine to replace them to deepen that mine. And at the end of that mining period, it was expected to be restored to a natural habitat. This is a 91 acre mine that spans the core reservation area and the growth area in West Hampton. And now 25 acres of this mine, the applicants CBE is proposing to develop a solar facility and, it would be a lease, from my understanding, the applicant is here today, Stephen
Right.
Ableton.
Yes.
And then, and eventually, from our understanding, and told, there could be additional, solar installations placed on other portions of the line, and lines on those portions. This line is, it's still active, and, it's expected to be lined into about 2047. There's a schedule and one, and it was submitted to the commission. And most importantly, one of the most important aspects of this, that in the decision in 2012, there was a requirement and the applicant recorded a conservation easement for this property. And this development with that easement. So, and today, this item is on to schedule a hearing. If I'm to do that, and then all the information will be presented to you to have a hearing.
Okay, so at this time, I look to, public hearing for the.
So as part of that hearing process, we're not doing an inquiry on whether easement permits this, which is the threshold issue. So we can do it inside the hearing, or you can separate that as sort of a question. If the answer is a hard no, there's no need for a hearing. The easement is covered by Article 49 of the CL. They allow some modifications for specific purposes. So the question really is going to be an easement question before we get to the ownership. So we've talked to applicant's attorney this morning. There was a discussion of whether that should be a combined hearing and inquiry on easement, or should we separate the two questions? It's up to the question.
And I've got applicants here. And I think that's so great. I'm worried.
So that's, we can have the hearing, and then part of it will be just this inquiry on the easement, which would be whether this is permitted. And then we get through that and then we're ready to go to the next stage. No reason to combine them for efficiency, when a lot of the hearings can be that big issue.
Right, I think we ought to address the threshold issue unless there's some way to have a mitigation prior to the proposed action. I don't know that.
I would suggest that any mitigation is after you get to the question of whether it's permitted, right? So if it's not permitted under the terms of the easement, the easement is pretty, the easement says no applications may be made by the landowner for a hardship. They're doing. The easement also says that conditions may change, and the commission and the applicant understand they have the right to apply to the commission to modify the terms of the easement. But the terms of the easement as modified must still comply with Article 47 of the ECO. So whether there's an issue of mitigation, sort of assumes you have the ability to help. So I'm fine doing it as all one process. But the question is, we just need to find out. Efficiently, maybe.
If council doesn't feel that we should address the threshold question separately, then for efficiency, let's do it together. Might not ever get to the second point.
And part of this application, they have the forms to put them on that.
As of this morning. Council.
The question is, do we want to have two public hearings and two separate?
I would just.
Okay. So I have a motion, at the public hearing and the five.
Yeah.
Motion from now. Second, sure, the public hearing for the September meeting.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a sense of urgency on that. I appreciate it.
Okay. That would be at 3 o'clock. Okay. We will vote for some public hearing for, September meeting at 3 o'clock. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions, approved. Okay, for preservation area, Suffolk County Correctional Officers Association.
The package contains information, material from the Suffolk County Corrections Officers Association. For hardship application, this is the site and bridge and before, it's zone, business. And there is an existing facility on the property, existing building. The applicant is here. Sorry, excuse me. And it's provided an application and this morning a certificate of occupancy and some of their material needs for the property. There is a proposal to build a meeting hall on this property, about 1,750 square foot building. And for the members, this is a 3-acre site. And this is an item to schedule a public hearing. There was an issue on this property with some hearing that occurred in the past, but we'll be working on how that was resolved and to move forward. If you're inclined to schedule a public hearing.
I'm not sure you can schedule a public hearing because they have a violation. The law provides that if there's a violation there, all applications are suspended. So this may be a matter that we want to discuss in a closed session, just giving the interplay to the existing violation of how to this issue in 2015. And prior to his term as president, so there's no fault being attributed to your leadership at the organization. But there is a threshold question of, given the existence of that notice of violation issued by the town, how it was resolved will dictate how the commission proceed in this matter. And I would think it's inappropriate at this time to schedule a public hearing given the open nature of the violation. I think that's being communicated with you or.
Yeah, I mean,
representatives.
if you'd like me to speak on it, my name is Lucas Husey, I'm the president of the Suffolk County Correctional Officers Association. I was elected on January 31st, 2015. The alleged violation took place in 2014 and was served prior to my presidency. I believe the last notice was issued on January 8th, 2015. Although this all stemmed from a conversation with Mr. Steve Engelbright recently, where I explained to him that we were looking for to purchase a new building that was more suitable for the membership. You know, if there's one thing that we learned through COVID, with all the restaurants and all the places shutting down, we had a desire. We still have to have meetings. You know, we have our meeting laws just like everybody else in our bylaws, and there were no public places available. And plus, it makes sense financially for us to be able to hold meetings on our own instead of having to rent out the back of a restaurant or some sort of catering hall frequently. Every month, yeah. So I explained to him that we were looking to purchase a new building, and he explained the process to apply for a hardship, and I did apply for a hardship. Through the process, one of the things that came out is that we still had an open violation that I was unaware of. I received no communication during my presidency about this. I know that my predecessor hired a company to solve the issue. There hasn't been very good communication. It's not a good transition of power for my presidency. So I apologize. I would like to, I fully understand I'm not on a tight timeline. I'll keep my options open as this progresses, but either way, as I explained to Ms. Margaret, who has been a tremendous amount of help to our association, I thank you for providing us with all the information. First and foremost, even though I applied for the hardship, I don't want to mark anything our association, so I'd like to resolve the violation, whatever that is. However, the resolution process that done, obviously, I can't undo what took place in 2014, but I can certainly take the proper steps that will come into place in a situation like this now. So I look forward to following guidance and hopefully following the violation. when it's not appropriate. Following the departure request.
So the obvious question is the actual violation. Characterize that, number one. Number two, give us some idea as to how long you project to take to rent.
So the building was purchased in October of 2013. It was 3 acres. It looks like it was subdivided from a 10-acre plot throughout the years since the 1950s. It was very run down, overgrown. It was uninhabited for at least a year prior to the association purchasing it. They did work on the building and they did landscaping work to try to clean up the existing problems that were there. It was an extreme tick infestation. They put a roof on, they did all the windows, new heating, air conditioning. They put a water line in. The back behind the building had, I would say, very weird undulations. It was like not only there a deer or a tree coming out, they cleared that area. It wasn't densely populated with trees, but the 100 feet behind the building is open land now. When I took over as president, it was basically dirt. We planted grass there since then, just so we're not tracking mud through it everywhere. As there was a storage container on site and a fire pit, which I was told would not be. So I had those removed, right when I became president. But I didn't know that we actually still had any violations. I never actually physically saw it. Obviously, I knew that things had to take place in order for us to get approval to build. But there was no sign of any sort of something holding over my head. And I will obviously take whatever steps are necessary. I'm not sure what the proper steps would be to remedy a situation like this. We have, done things that I think beautify the area, planting 20 with cypress trees out front, we have flowers and whatnot, but the Pine Barrens region obviously has specific needs that are indigenous to the area that they would rather have revegetated. The property, I believe, was 963 feet deep. And it is fairly densely populated with trees, the last 500 feet or so, which, is untouched by us. We don't go back there. There are some, it's like hiking trails. Occasionally there are people that I hear riding ATV vehicles back there that do not enter the Canal property, but there's an adjoining road that comes off the Williamsburg Parkway. Sometimes some horses back there. I actually like the wildlife, the deer and turkey, and actually some very big snakes too. Didn't like as much as the deer and turkey. But I'm not sure what the proper steps would be. I'm a correction officer by trade. I'm not a builder, developer, or an attorney. I'm going to follow your guidance and do what we can to try and make this commission happy and hopefully increase our chances at a hardship approval in the future. And if not, we'll do what's best for our association, and we'll look for a place that's maybe not in the 4 or 5 region, which I was unaware that this original purchase was. Obviously, people in charge were very little communication. So, what would you recommend? Or is that a conversation for out there?
Yeah, I guess at this point, council, we should probably stuff this in the next, closed session. And then give staff direction on how to try to involve commercial office.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Clarification. Would you mind clarifying the daily operations of the facility now and then how the meeting hall would work into that?
Sure. So we are the Correction Officers Association. We are the union that represents correction officers here in Suffolk County who work in the Riverhead and Yaphank jails. It's currently about 850 of us. If we finally get full staffing, we'll be about 930. That's historical county. We represent the membership in all aspects of their career, negotiating their health benefits, their collective bargaining agreement. We represent them in internal affairs. We also hold our monthly meetings, but our general membership meetings as required by our bylaws. They're open meetings where all our members are able to attend. We don't get as large turnout, We're obviously not 800 people showing up. But I would like to have a meeting hall sufficient enough to hold our largest meetings, probably 150 people when we have like contract votes. Or if we have, we had a couple of issues with the state pension system last year where we had to have informational meetings. And we rented firehouses just to get ample room to be able to convey the information to our membership, so that when the vote does come out, they can have an educated vote on the issue. We're not looking to rent out for baptisms and christenings and stuff like that. I'm not looking to have a catering hall. It's just strictly for our membership use. For the association's use to benefit the membership.
Would you say the daily operation then is an office use?
Oh, it is. It is an office. It was originally some sort of treatment center there on the site, which was closed down. There are 3 full-time correction officers that are assigned there, 5 days a week, and 1 office staff. So we have 4 people there on a daily basis. I do have 7 board members, so each one of them does have an office. We have a small conference room, which can hold probably 12 to 14 people right now. We have our board meetings there, and there's just no people for membership.
So the meeting hall would be off peak, would it be in the evenings, or would it be during the daily
We
operation?
normally hold it at 3:30 p.m. because we have one shift that's 7 to 3, one that's 3 to 11, and then we have the midnighters. The midnighters usually go home and sleep at the end of their shift. So 3:30, we can capture the largest portion of the membership. We can get the 7 to 3 people on the way home. It is not, also it's very flexible. I submitted very elementary plans as far as I'm very flexible about placement, the size, the shape. We just really need an open room where we can be. I don't really care about the specifics. So I came up with the size just based on, all right, this could work, 35 by 50 rectangle. If there's a smaller square footage, a different shape, a different location, attached, detached, we're very flexible.
So as one final aside, I refer you to a line from a movie called Cool Hand Luke, which I think features some corrections officers, if I'm not mistaken. And the famous line is, "What we got here is a failure to communicate."
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't have the smoothest transition of power. It wasn't a popular move when I decided to run, but here we are today, and either way, we're a violation. Oh, okay. Thank you very much for your time. I'm always available if anybody has any questions or.
Thank you. So what we'll do is we'll be discussing further in the meeting and then,
Okay, you want me to stay?
We'll give you a call.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for your approach to make sure you take care of this.
Thank you.
Commendable.
Okay, the next item is secret coordination, Michael Medford Operations Center.
Thank you. There's a draft letter in the package. We're looking for authorization to send this letter. I just want to clarify, this is a site in the compatible growth area, not before as it's listed on the agenda. This is a new operations center for for administrative offices, garage, vehicles, storage. It's about 24 acres, and this was receiver coordination from on this proposal. And the letter says the commission converted to the agency, but the project is development, it has to conform with standards of the land use plan. And a couple of days ago, actually on Friday, the commission received a compatible growth area hardship application for this project. So this may be 2 items, one for your authorization for the letter, the letter, and also to schedule a public hearing if you're prepared to do that now for maybe over October, if there's already at least one potential hearing, and then the Congo Bell that's off today may come back in September. That can be 2 hearings already towards September. So first item is to get your authorization on this. And then we still need to review the purchase application, so that could be on this one, that's one of the. Review.
What's the margin?
I think they're going to over clear, they need to clear a little bit more. They've assembled a few parcels and the applicants for representative for license here today are. And, I think that there is an area outside that they need to clear and the site is already over cleared. It's partially on a property that's used by the country Barrens, park, a small amusement park area in Medford on the east side of well, and there are a couple other parcels that have been assembled for this project site, and one of them is all put in, and I think they need to clear a portion of that, but again, most of the site, at least 19 of the 24 acres, so it's already cleared, so they really aren't, they're really not supposed to be clearing anymore, but I guess they have tried to modify this plan as much as they can, that they've seen so far to modify it as much as they can to minimize clearing, but this application, my understanding is just the best they can do right now. They're not clearing, again, they need to clear a little bit more. But there are some mitigation, they're going to also do some restoration and some other new septic system, other mitigation, but haven't reviewed it all yet.
Say that compared to the report. Did I miss it? Staffing compared to staffing.
No, because we got it on Friday, and it's not a public hearing right today, right for today.
I just want to know if there are any of the records that both on board, engaged.
Wrong, the mini golf.
Place was.
Really just a point of clarification, the entire property is, there, which is still one point, that's supposed to be what it is, front is storage. That was the side. Part of it. But it is, where it falls.
Yeah, question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, item E, the Venetia Square. Yeah.
We need to schedule the hearing. With, the application, whatever. I would suggest October. Since we have two hearings. I see one in September and.
Okay. There, meeting, public hearing for the October meeting at 3:00. Second as well. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing is scheduled. Okay, item E, Venetia Square CGA development application. All right.
This item is on requesting an extension for a decision on this application. The secret process is not completed at the town level yet, so they are looking for an extension until the September meetings.
Okay. Motion. Well, there, we're going to make a section of our appointed meeting. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Approved. Okay, we had a public hearing at 2:30.
The public hearing,
Was adjourned, right?
yeah, till next month.
The public hearing at 7:30 is adjourned for the next month. You need any more motion for that?
They said till September.
Okay.
An attorney and
You need a motion for that?
No, because we adjourned the hearing, there's no action needed. The decision deadline is after the September meeting,
Okay. Sure, go ahead.
Do we need any kind of authorization from the board for the credit clearinghouse to investigate further outreach? Do we need to direct the clearinghouse to do that, or is it just the minutes of this meeting sufficient to get the credit clearinghouse rolling?
I don't think it was, I was mumbling on the Jews. Oh, somebody say that.
This is an opinion. I think at this point, it's something that I'm so scared of and look into further and think when looking at board, clearinghouse board as well. It's something I would approach. Accomplish what we need to accomplish.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to, our next public comment portion. Everybody- Seeing none, our next item is closed, advisory session.
So we have some important matters, some litigation updates, and probably no action. No further action, so we'll probably adjourn without going back on the session.
Okay, get motion to go into public, closed session with, after. Motion from, Mr. Dale, like, everybody in favor, opposed. Okay, we're going to close session and then we get out and the lights left, to go after. So. Okay, thank you. And then with that,
Yeah. Yes. And on. And I think that went nicely. I don't remember it.
there you go. What do you think? Good.
Okay.
All right.